What's happening, everyone? I'm Jordan, and this is Front Run Tech, and we're going to try and go over quite a few things here today as we look at the markets, especially as gold and silver have blasted off into their next moves up, which is very telling for the overall state of what is going on right now. All right, so we'll start here with Bitcoin. As per usual, this is the Bitcoin 8-hour chart, and Bitcoin was having a nice correction here. It did come into this level where it did bottom as for now, bottoming at the previous highs over here, which looks pretty nice. It did then go ahead and break out in the short term, and it was struggling at this more local horizontal level. And here recently, this past week, it was finally able to break above that level and then extend further upwards, breaking above the next local horizontal level. And it's now above that, looking to potentially retest that a little bit and turn it into support. So this is a very good sign for Bitcoin, especially here in the shorter term, as it does look to be putting in a recovery, and hopefully potentially this will be the local bottom over here. All right. We've got a big bit of a gap here up into the next level, which is going to start right around 119.5K. And I'm hoping that this next week we can get that move all the way up to that level and then hopefully see what happens. All right. But Bitcoin does look much better now than it did a few weeks ago, and that's good to see. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Bitcoin daily chart. Here on the daily chart, it's a similar view, but you can kind of see how clean this pullback and this retest was as it pulled right in to this level, which was this level over here of the previous all-time highs. Pulled right in, bounced off that level, now resuming up. It's looking like a nice correction, a healthy correction, and hopefully a recovery. All right, so we'll see if we can get above this next level this week. If we kind of zoom out here, it's still just kind of hanging out in the middle of this channel. So if it were to really make a move towards the upside of this channel, we'd be pushing towards prices of 150, 160K. So we'll see what happens. This is the Bitcoin weekly chart, and we know that Bitcoin, after breaking out from this purple trend line we were watching, it was not able to hold it, but it is now attempting to get back above it, which would be nice to see. Other than that, nothing really has changed. It is interesting if we throw on the bull market support band here. So this these moving averages have been extremely important throughout Bitcoin's history, during bull markets and bear markets. But the interesting thing is that during this bull market, it hasn't really been as useful. You could see this period through here. It was very choppy. It wasn't much of a signal. Even here, it lost it and then regained it. All right. Early in the bull market, this is the one time where it really tested it and held. You can see it then lost it again, regained it. So it really hasn't been the type of signal that it has been in previous Bitcoin cycles. But it is interesting, at least, that this pullback came exactly into that 21 week, I believe, EMA. Exactly tested that and bounced from there. So that's at least something interesting, good to see for now. All right. So that's what we're looking at with Bitcoin. Looking good for this upcoming week. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other stuff. We'll go ahead and take a look at gold now, because this is very important. This is the gold 8-hour chart, and these drawings here are from a post that I did on X. Again, if you're not following the Front Run Tech X page, make sure you go over there and follow. But anyways, we know that gold had been in this sideways consolidation for quite a while, which was bullish consolidation after the big move up, and it has now blasted through, breaking out and back into price discovery, just continuing this insane rip up. Now these drawings here, I was just circling the last time that gold had a similar length of consolidation as it did right here. And this yellow circle was what happened when it broke out of there, which it is now currently breaking out again of a similar consolidation. So it'll be interesting to see how high it can go. And we'll take a look at silver, but gold and silver doing these things, especially gold continuing to just go parabolic again, it's just the sign of the crack up boom phase that we are in with all of the debt spending, and the gold is being revalued and it's going to continue to go higher. All right, this is silver. It broke out pretty clean from this little short-term triangle after the move up. Nice strong breakout, and it ended the week with another high as well. So looking good. If we go ahead and take a look at silver on the weekly chart, I think it's pretty interesting to see silver on the weekly, because remember, unlike gold, silver has not taken out its all-time high yet. So you can see these were kind of the last three levels left, these horizontal purple lines for silver. It broke the first one, of course. This is the second one, this little touch right here. It is approaching that level. And then the third one up here would be the high. So silver is making its move, and I don't expect it to necessarily stop. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other things here. We'll take a look at the DXY. Nothing really has been happening here with the DXY on the 8-hour. Right, we've just continued to see this sideways chop in a really tight range as the DXY, like we've been saying, really just looks like it's consolidating a bit before probably heading down further. It has not been able to capitalize on any of these breakouts that it's had lately, and it just does not have any momentum. So, but I want to take a look at the DXY on the weekly chart and go over this chart that I don't know if I've gone over, at least here on the YouTube channel. This is the DXY weekly chart, and this chart is showing something interesting. So this is going all the way back to about 1975. This purple trend line coming through the middle here shows a pattern of the DXY having these periods of breaking above this purple trend line, having these large quick run-ups and then run back down to the line, and then once it breaks back below that purple trend line, it continues to set lower lows below the trend line. Right, you see it did it again here, had a brief period above that purple trend line, came back down, lower low. It did it again over here in 2022. It was above that purple trend line for a while. It has broken back below that purple trend line, and now it looks to be potentially in free fall here on the weekly chart. So if this pattern continues again, you would essentially see this low over here of about $70 or 70. You would see that taken out in another lower low set, which would be a massive move down to come in the next whatever it is year or two. So something interesting to watch. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look. I wanted to look at the 30-year and show you guys something here about the 30-year, because the 30-year bond yield chart has absolutely collapsed down. All right. It had this huge, it looked like it was actually pushing above 5%. You see this huge wick that faded the whole wick, and now it has been waterfalling down, playing the levels, broke down from this level, retested it, broke down, gap down to the next level. It ended the week catching a little bit of support at this level, but the 30-year has come off quite a bit. You can see it's kind of holding on to this last horizontal level for now. So pretty interesting to see that yield come off pretty aggressively. All right. Now we can go ahead and take a look at MicroStrategy real quick. So here on MSTR, it has been struggling quite a bit for a while now, and of course it did not get into the S&P 500, which was some bearish news that the market didn't like. A lot of people thought it was going to get in. So I have this circled because this was from another post over on X. Um, this circle up here was when I warned everybody that a local top was highly likely to have been put in there just because of the false breakout and the big move down, losing those levels. And this circle right here, I posted that it could be looking like a potential short-term bottom. You see the lower low right here, and um, the sentiment obviously is absolutely horrible. Everyone is just so worried and so bearish on MicroStrategy. So when you see that type of sentiment along with this type of pattern forming, could be a good place probably for a short-term bottom potentially. But of course we'll have to see what happens with Bitcoin and if it can maintain its reverse momentum upwards, right? We'll take a look at what uranium has been doing. This is UEC. So the last time we were talking about UEC, it was like over here, it had this big dip and it kind of looked like it might be ready to top out here. It was very overextended. Of course, it did nothing but blast off to even further highs. And so even this pullback to end the week, I don't necessarily think um, would be a top just yet. So uranium continues to fly, all right? And you're just going to see these risk assets. Oh, we'll look at the stock market. You're just going to see these risk on assets just continue to melt up because of the type of monetary environment that we are in. So this is the S&P 500. Again, it did the same thing. It's just faded the breakdown of the trend line, blasted back off into price discovery. Nothing much more to say about it. It just continues to melt up. And you're going to see the same thing here with the NASDAQ. Faded the breakdown of the trend line, new all-time high, continues to melt up. All right. So I guess we'll leave it there for now. That's what's going on with the markets, and we'll see what happens this week. Remember, if you're not following on the socials, go follow the Front Run Tech X page and Noster, and the links for those will be in the description of the video. All right, everybody. Thanks.